Supreme Leader of Iran warning the U.S. that if they start a war this time, it would be a regional war. Just announced this a little while ago. Well, Iran is launching a 2-day live-fire naval exercise in the Strait of Hormuz, a critical global shipping lane. The U.S. says Iran has a right to operate there, but it is warning against any unsafe or unprofessional actions that could threaten the freedom of navigation or escalate tensions further. With us now, retired United States Marine Corps Colonel Mark Cancian. Colonel, welcome back. Always good to see you, sir.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Iran's top leader sending a stark warning this morning, just a few hours ago while most people were sleeping. He said Iran would strike a strong blow against anyone who attacks. What are the main concerns here for the U.S., Colonel?
Well, Iran is always issuing threats like that, but it does have the ability to strike the United States and particularly its allies and partners in the region if something should happen. We saw that back in June when they launched missiles against Qatar, but they also have proxies who could take action. So they have some ability, although it's been greatly reduced.
We know Trump is still weighing an attack, but do you think American troops abroad could be targeted?
It's possible. They tried to do that in June, might do it with proxies. On the other hand, they know that the United States has a lot of military power in the region, could strike back pretty hard. What they've indicated in the past is that they don't want to get into a tit for tat.
Colonel, I want to discuss those live exercises I just told our viewers about in Iran. What is the U.S. watching most closely as these drills get underway? What are the concerns if the U.S. were to lose access to this critical strait?
Well, the straits are critical because so much oil flows through them. It is hard to close the straits, but the Iranians could harass shipping that's going through the straits. That would be a major disruption of commerce, and the United States and allies would have to take action. I think for something like that, the United States would be leading a coalition because it is so important to many countries.
The U.S., as you well know, has strengthened its naval presence near Iran. The USS Lincoln is there, along with near-constant surveillance flights, cargo operations across the region. We did see a similar buildup a few months ago before the U.S. launched military strikes in Venezuela. Is this a similar scenario?
Well, it's a similar buildup. We have a carrier strike group, a number of surface combatants, and some air power. It's not quite as large as what was in the Caribbean. The United States doesn't have the Marines, for example, doesn't have quite as much air and doesn't have the SOF. It has the capability to launch punitive strikes against Iran. It can protect its allies and partners, but it does not have the ability to do a snatch operation as we saw in Venezuela.
On Saturday, there was a top Iranian security official close to the country's leader that said there is progress in efforts to launch negotiations between the U.S. and Iran. The sticking point, as you well know, Colonel, is nuclear power. Do you see a compromise there?
It's possible. The Iranians have said that they're willing to talk about nuclear, not about their missile program, which is also a threat. On the other hand, those talks have not gone anywhere in the past. We'll see what happens now.
On those nuclear talks, the Iranian foreign minister said this, quote, "Now, if the negotiations are conducted in a fair and equitable manner, the Islamic Republic of Iran is ready to take part," end quote. He also stressed the Trump administration needs to stop threatening attacks against Iran. Does taking the threat of force off the table weaken U.S. leverage, or is this really the only language Iran may understand?
It really makes a difference to Iran, the fact the United States can conduct punitive strikes. Without some leverage, they don't have the incentive to negotiate, particularly to give up something that they've held on to so tightly in the past. So military power is important when combined with diplomatic efforts.
You were mentioning our allies. We know tensions between Iran and Europe are spiking after Iran's parliament speaker said the country now views all EU militaries as terrorist organizations after the EU declared Iran's Revolutionary Guard a terrorist group. What concerns do you have that tensions with Europe could eventually derail our negotiations, U.S. negotiations with Iran?
Well, it's helpful that the Europeans are noting the character of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards And to the extent that we can work together to reduce the tensions, reduce the threat of the nuclear program, and to reduce threats to the oil shipments, that's very helpful. On the other hand, things like we've seen with the conflict over Greenland, those disagreements, those have not been helpful.
Retired Marine Corps Colonel Mark Cancian, we always appreciate your time. We really appreciate you waking up so early for us. Thank you, Colonel. I'll see you soon.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.